Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar and my Avatar to the Diversity Mahotsav 2022. I am Lalita Tata and I will be your host for today's evening. Before we begin, here are a few hygiene checks for your seamless virtual experience. Please close all the other applications on your computer and log out from your organization's VPN to conserve internet bandwidth. We would like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and Saint Gobain India Private Limited. Our social media hashtags are Diversity Mahotsav 2022 and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. I would also like to inform that all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Scan the QR code seen on your mobiles or laptops or computers to watch the Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Alternatively, you can go to the link that is visible on the screen, or you can also use the link that we have posted in the chat box. Celebrating diversity in workplace should be about bringing the workforce together in a natural way, where they can celebrate, engage, and champion each other's uniqueness. Diversity in the workplace is all about empowering employees by respecting and embracing what makes them different in all the ways. It means appreciating and understanding one another by truly embracing the differences. Avtar, a pioneer in field of diversity, equity, and inclusion, had the vision to see more women participate in the workforce. While we have expanded our impact across diversity stands to cover people with special needs, disabilities, LGBTQ+, to name a few, we have also recognized the need to mainstream discussions around diversity and inclusion. Let's listen from the founder, Dr. Saundarya Rajesh, on the vision of My Avatar.
I'm delighted to share that My Avatar is India's first and only portal to celebrate diversity. This means that we are a portal that addresses ourselves to different diversity talent pools, different underrepresented groups of talent like women, second career women, members of the LGBTQ community, persons with disability, veterans, and the silver generation. And what do we do at myavatar.com? First of all, we provide jobs from a whole host of organizations that are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also create experiences and opportunities for people to come in touch with each other to form communities. And finally, we also offer skilling programs to ensure that every individual who registers to myavatar.com has the opportunity to reach the fullest of their potential.
Diversity Mahotsav, a celebration of diversity by myavatar.com. Avatar's diversity hiring portal is a one-of-its-kind initiative. It aims to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach and with experiential sessions, success stories, and skill-building workshops, it recognizes that one size doesn't fit all and that there is a need for different levels of intervention. And with the second successive edition of Diversity Mahotsav, we look forward to expanding our impact in celebrating your diversity. I, Lalita, once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solutions firm, and myavatar.com, India's only diversity hiring portal to the Diversity Mahotsav. Let's celebrate ourselves. Transferable skills can help you land a new job, even without the right experience. Transferable skills enable you to thrive, not just survive in your professional journey, but also in your personal lives. Today, we have Mr. Praful Baveja, queer neurodivergent entrepreneur, experiential marketing and inclusive recruitment consultant, and an awarded storyteller, and also Captain Savita Singh, ex-IAF pilot, helicopter pilot with Indo-Pacific Aviation Private Limited, to throw more light on leveraging transferable skill sets. This extremely interesting conversation will be moderated by Ms. Rashmi Ravindran, Assistant Vice President, Marcom and User Experience. Over to you, Rashmi.
Thank you, Lalita. Thank you so much. And good afternoon to our viewers. Hope you're having an amazing day so far. Hope you've been watching this edition of Diversity Mahotsav and learning a lot. I'm Rashmi Ravindran, and it is my pleasure to have our guest for today's session, Captain Savita Singh and Praful Baveja, to discuss on the topic of leveraging transferable skill sets. To set the context for our viewers once again, I know Lalita did that. So transferable skills or portable skills are the set of skills that are relevant across domains and functions and is often seen as a potential of the candidate by the employers. Some examples of transferable skills are communication, basic computer knowledge, problem solving, critical thinking, attention to details, etc. So Savita, let me start with you. Having been in what can be described as an offbeat job, what are those two critical transferable skills that you think work both on land and air?
Hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me on this platform of Diversity Mahotsav. It is really very nice that you have organized such a kind of a talk wherein you had invited me. So thanks once again. Yeah, the two very important things which are, I think so, which is important on ground and as well as in air, it is the attitude and the discipline. These are the two basic things. The person exactly the way he or she is conducting himself or herself on the ground will behave exactly in the same manner in the cockpit also. So the attitudinal problems are to be sorted out on ground itself, and discipline is really required because it is like time constraint and time management and everything is to be done. So it is like not minute to minute, but it is second to second monitoring. So the discipline is really required.
Absolutely. Well said, Savita. Thank you for that. Praful, from you. I know that, you spoke about a few challenges that you had faced individually. So could you please, sort of describe the kind of challenges you faced when you chose the profession that you are in today?
So I am a consultant, right? And this comes after years of being in Marcom for a while, and then moving on to technology, HR, and a bunch of things that only came in and added value to what I was already doing, right? So challenges, one come because of sexuality, etc. When people consciously, unconsciously take it as a barrier to your functionality and talent. One. Second, the neurodivergence piece I came to know much later in life. It was diagnosed in mid-30s. So my ADHD and ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And it's not something that will affect everybody in the same manner. So different challenges for different people on different days and different circumstances. It is multi-layered, different thing to understand, and even for me to understand it took a while. But to leverage it and to see the skills that help you navigate through both of these things as well as career, I would say empathy is one piece, because if you are asking for some kind of reasonable accommodation, or if you would need a certain explanation, or you would need to justify a certain thing, saying that, hey, this is what I'm encountering, can you factor that in? Is an ask, and it is a practice that you have to say that, hey, like somebody who's hard of hearing will say that this is not my good ear. Yeah. This is my good ear. Maybe, in case if that's the case. Or somebody who has the vision impairment will say that, okay, I see less. Can you give me glasses that really give me a certain kind of vision and clarity, right? So similarly for these things, not for being queer, but for neurodivergent piece, there are things that are there and measures and tools that are there in which you can function a bit better and be more mindful, etc. So these two things, being mindful and having empathy for yourself and others in all situations, asking accordingly, that is a skill that had to be developed, and that's worked very well.
So interesting. I think it does say something about, how you learn from circumstances, and that brings me to this question. Either of you, if both of you could answer, we talk about transferable skills being, it comes through as if it were not written down in a book, or it is not something that you are taught in any colleges or universities, and you pick it up as you go. So time is of essence, exposure is of essence, where you land up, and what have you been brought up with is of essence. Is there any way in which beginners, freshers can sort of plan it, and sort of also list down probably a set of skills that they want over a period of time and work at it? How does it work? How has it worked for you individually in your careers, Savita and Praful? I'd like to hear from both of you on that.
For me, like, I was very young when I got inducted into Air Force, and I think so. Except for the study part of it, I think that overall development, how do you see the world? What kind of qualities do you have? Do you follow people, or you have a leadership quality? All these things, they really matter, because when even during the selection in the Air Force, it is through the service selection board. And in the service selection board, it's like a 10 days interview during which they are checking for your psychology test. Then they are checking for the physical test as well as your leadership qualities. Then your thinking, then your the way you take everybody along with you, or are you a good listener? So all these things, they matter. And I think so during our times, like I'm talking about when I joined Air Force in 1995. So during our times, this thing, like our parents, they used to think that fine, in case the person has to become a doctor or an engineer, there was no other profession.
Oh yeah, they still think that way.
They still think that way. Yeah, even I'm a parent, and I at times think that way, and it's absolutely okay. But but I feel that because it is not only about the studies, it is about the overall development. So what has happened, that gets you a long way in your career, and you start following, or you have a leadership quality. This is, I think so, few of the things are genetic, and other things like they are learning from at home. Like my father was in army, so I learned few things. I picked a few things from him. So it was genetic, as well as I learned that kind of a discipline or whatever from there. But yes, even in school, they have started teaching, they do some kind of a thing like startup business. They do all sorts of things. They in their curriculum, they do something like which shows the leadership quality, or maybe a child knows what is it. So I think so, since beginning, now it is like children know it better, and maybe they are more vocal. Their views are not suppressed, so they can express themselves in front of the parents as well as other elderly people also, which they were not initially doing it. So I think so these all things are helping children also, and all of us, like, we have also changed over a period of time as we are all parents. So this is helping. So that is what. Yes.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that parent thing, but before that, Praful, if you could just.
So individually for me, I have always done this swimming against the tide business, right? So everywhere you see mainstream, I go exactly in opposite direction. And that's not my plan. It's just the way that I see things, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to do things, and that's a choice. So even with the subjects that I had taken in school, if everybody was like really swarming and everybody was really competing on maths and science, I would still do all the languages, all the civil studies, humanities. And if they would, if they would try to go on stage 2 times or 1 time, just to top one subject, I'll be like, okay, that's your thing. I will go 5 times for my 5 subjects. You go once. So, the way that you prospect, the way that you look at things, that lens is important.
Yes.
Right. And for me to take Marathi instead of French in school and then get good marks was not out of anything else but conversational ease, right? Because I'm a polyglot, and around me there are people who are speaking multiple languages. And what are those languages I can easily practice, master, not only for exams and not only, for marks and rankings, but to actually use and appreciate culturally, etc. Right? Similarly, transferable skills also, if you're looking at them for stacking up, no, they don't work that way. They will work in the long run because the richness and the dividend comes when you go in depth into them, right? Like discipline will always work because of your consistency. Or when you don't, judge yourself when you lose a day or you have a certain kind of drop and you have to pick it back again. But discipline is discipline, right? It's a larger umbrella, but small little pieces will be there within that. And for you to tackle those small pieces is the beginner's biggest dread. They are like, what if I fail? What if I fall? But that's how we learn. That's how we learn everything. So learning appetite is the biggest transferable skill that has driven me. And then even the career change has been with the learning development mindset, right? Like,
absolutely. That's
at 40, awesome. I was like, this is what I want to do for life. Okay, I might not have figured it from 22, 23 till about 40 that, okay, learning is the best thing. It will be one of the top 3 things that I would have on priority. But now I was like, no, learning is something that I would love to continue doing. And this is still last breath kind of a thing. So
absolutely.
That's the top skill for me.
I just love that, that you spoke about learnability as a very important skill. And I think that sort of puts the foundation for learning anything else in life, right? So makes a lot of sense. But then, like I said, not having that guidance in life and maybe not even realizing, most of us don't even realize what are those transferable skills that we all possess internally with us. Like Savita spoke about genetics. It's probably also because one's father is in a profession or a mother is in a profession and you have been exposed to it all seems very luck by chance kind of a situation where you don't have much control over these things. But then I'm sure that you also had an opportunity to probably mentor people in your professions, right? In your all these years of experience. So has there been any examples of people who were coming into, a blinded on a blind way, just with their grades, marks to show that they can do that work, but then you found that there is that potential and then you built, we would love to hear some stories there. Go ahead, Savita, you can start.
Okay, fine. The thing is, when I initially joined the Air Force, that was in the year 1994, Jan 1994, I went for my training. And imagine that time I was like, I was from the 4th course. But yes, even from that 4th course, that was like initial courses and there were no seniors as such to guide and to help and to mentor and do that. But yes, I feel that Air Force is a very good organization. It really helps and it transforms a person easily. But yes, the training was tough, and initially the training which was designed was, I think so, not much towards the females. It was more towards it was more male oriented training. But yes, we all went through it, and since I was from the defense background, I knew that I have to go through it and there is no other way that I can escape from it. So we were like 6 of us and we all did it in a manner we were supposed to do. And then it was but later on, like when I served for 10 years, then whenever the lady pilot or the lady officer, ground duty officer used to come, then we used to like help her out, and we used to tell her that how to escape few of the things and how not to escape few of the things, and what is a must and what is not a must, and how to like keep the show running. So that was it for 10 years. We did that. And yes, initially for our courses, it was like more of the proving things because we were like new to this. As it is still now, it's in India, it is like 13% of female pilots in commercial, which is quite a number. But still, it is a male domain.
Dominated.
So a male domain. And when I joined the Air Force, it was a completely male domain, and there were no helicopter pilots or such. So they were like really waiting for us to see how will we pick up, how will we take off. And so we were always under that scrutiny. But I feel you don't have to think too much and do whatever you can do in a best possible manner. So we did the same, and finally we told this thing in the same manner to others, and they could manage. Everybody could manage because it's such a great organization. They help us out. But yes, outside in civil again, I face a typical problem as I am a helicopter pilot. So because I was a helicopter pilot, and there are not very many females in helicopters outside in civil. So I'll tell you that in Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited, which was my first commercial organization which I joined, I was the only female pilot amongst 165 male pilots.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I was the one who stayed like this for, I think so, 6 to 7 years. I was the only lady pilot till the time I actually got my junior male male pilots. But yes, the female pilots, they joined only after 6 to 7 years of me being alone in Pawan. So fine. So I helped them out. They were like 20, 21-year-old. They were my co-pilots, and I used to keep them around me so that I can teach them. Nobody can say anything to them, and it is like fine. And that time I was mother, so I felt that they are just like kids. So you mentor them, and then you help them out. So it is like.
Absolutely. But Savita, just on that one point of you being one amongst the 166 that were there, I know that you spoke about being under scrutiny, right? But is there also that understanding that they have, and I'm sure you bring a lot of your own unique set of skills that you naturally probably have being a woman, or kind of exposure that you have had in your life being a woman. So what were those differentiators from your other male counterparts that you had, which gave you the edge probably, which made you stay?
Better. I tell you, I was still better, I think so, because I came out from Air Force and I was a helicopter pilot over there for 10 years. But still, all those people, but still I was the youngest pilot, still.
Okay.
Because all those 165 male pilots were either from Army, Air Force, or Navy. Okay. And they were all like 50 years and beyond. So yeah, though I got a lot of experience from Air Force, but still I was the youngest. So initially, I'm not saying that it was their fault judging me. It's absolutely okay. Anybody could do that. But it is just that you don't have to bother much, and you keep concentrating on whatever you are supposed to do, and not try to prove much, but to do your job. So that actually helps to keep you going. And then later on at one point of time, people will understand that no, she's been cleared to fly VVIPs and VIP. She is now flying as an independent PIC even on Lakshadweep and Andaman Islands, and even in the entire Northeast, which I was flying. And only the state hits, only the chief ministers or the cabinet ministers I was flying. So they start giving you that kind of a respect, and that's okay. It takes time, but then somebody has to break that glass, and somebody has to move. Yeah, somebody has to do it.
Absolutely.
So it is okay.
That's awesome and very inspiring to hear that. Praful, from you, your stint and your tryst with mentorship, being the mentor, if you could elaborate on that.
So 2 pieces come to my mind. See, mentorship is different for different people. I look at coaching and buddy system more than mentorship, because for me, hand-holding is warmer, either, or it is very goal-oriented and very transactional. There is nothing in between. It's either we meet for that 1 hour, churn out things, do the drill, do very with the beats kind of a thing, and get done with it. I'll be very, very clean, clear, absolutely. or there is that warm, intimate, personal zone where you require that kind of support. And in communities, you find both those things, right? So in social, LGBT and people with disability spaces where I work, and there, because I've been working on Pride, I've been working on a bunch of things. There, the requirement comes for more intimate, personal handholding because the situations are that challenging for most people. Yeah. So only financial inclusion, only guidance for career, only XYZ things don't help. There is a bunch of things to do for a person to untangle and then move ahead in their life journey, right? It is not one piece there. So then you seed. It's like farming. It's not hunting. It's literally yearly planning. It's literally figuring whether the person is ready, whether it will take 2 more coffees, 3 more walks, X number of more things to do. Then it is a very, very patient, very, you have to find that nurturing side within yourself. And developing that is your journey, right? Because like, do I even have it in me to go that far with a person and for that breakthrough, right? So that is in the LGBT spaces and PWD spaces, but so much of delight, so much of beauty, so much of gratitude when things turn around there.
Absolutely.
It might take 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. You know, these journeys are never ending, but relationships continue. They're very rich. They are amazing for people who have left sex work and then joined corporate spaces, or people who were part of a certain system and they were very close to being exploited because of their disability at workplace, and then you get that thing out of the place because it's their work. It's not, I'm not going to go and clear that space up. They are going to clear that space up. I'm there one call away, or I'm there one help away, right? To do those things in a social place, because that's how we operate. So for them to make choices is the biggest thing. Like you said, a lot of it is chance, a lot of it is programming, a lot of it is circumstance. No. Cognitively, everything is 10-second choice. Everything is 10-second that you say that whether I'm going to stay here or I'm going to change. The most drastic, radical, biggest transformational leaps are people with disability that I have seen, para athletes that I have seen. I've seen amazing, amazing, inspiring people who are critically ill and they say, no, I'm going to go to Khardungla, do cycling and do these things which are really making me feel alive. And I'm like, hey, would I be able to do something like this? Should I consider doing something like this? Is the question that I come back asking myself, right? And we have those opportunities to learn from these things. Reverse mentoring is a beautiful process. It's an amazing, amazing space. I would ask everybody to focus even on that.
Awesome. Very, very, very inspiring, Praful. But then just staying on that thought of, what you presented right now about, yes, reverse mentoring, but before that, even mentoring and being patient with, even at a workplace level today, we see a lot of issues with mental health. And, there are so many various, variants of that. It's not one way, or it is not that it is of a certain degree that everybody is sort of exposed to it, and it can hit anyone at any time. So from that angle, even being a mentor and to be able to, the word patience is very easily said, but then is it even possible for somebody to give in so much and make sure that somebody is well? Is it even the I'm digressing a little bit here, but is it even possible for mentors or leaders or anybody from their point of view to be there like that? And what is the effect of morally, or in whichever way, how does it even affect the person who is who is expected to be there, and not being able to give in that much? Because in a workplace scenario, it is very different from being a counselor or any other. So how does it work when you are a mentor and then you have to, you're expected to be there for somebody. Yeah.
So we, so
It's a skill that I want you to sort of,
I will just
talk
say
about it.
I have one person in our team who's also ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
They have won HR Director Awards, industry level. They're doing their PhD. I shared
What does
them
it take? What does it take for you to be there? Like, I'm trying to understand what is that transferable
3
skill?
months. 3 months I waited for them to make up their mind on what they would like to do next after their last job change. And then they came back and said, no, I would like to proceed this way. Not invalidating and saying, okay, you're not available for 6 days a week. You're available 3 days a week. And you would like to still work with us and grow at a certain pace, which is not the pace that I had in mind. Okay. How can I work? So there is a story, a small story that I will say. A hammer and a key are talking.
Okay.
It sounds better in Hindi, but I'm going with English. A hammer and key are talking. They say that, hey, this lock, yeah. It's like so much of a trouble for me, Hammer says. I have to bang my head and I end up destroying myself and I end up, really hurting it, but barely any difference it makes to that lock. And I'm tired. They're both in this toolkit of a locksmith. Ask key, how do you manage? Yeah? How do you break through? How do you go through it? Like, I know that it's very smooth with you. With me, it's so tough. The key says, I go through fire, I go through sharpeners, I go through multiple things so that I can enter the heart of that lock. I listen to every beat and I twist and turn accordingly. And then it sings for me. It opens up like anything that's behind that lock. And all the treasures, digitally or otherwise, behind that lock will be yours if you're the key. As long as we are the hammer, we are not going to find it. When we are the key, we are going to find it.
Awesome. So poetic but yeah, true, very true. I mean, we'll figure out how to be the key to at least, some of them around us. It's so beautifully expressed. Thank you, Praful. Just taking it back to the point that I said, I will come back to you on, Savita. Being a mother of 2 twin daughters, right? Twin daughters, it must have been quite a handful, while they grew up and you were pilot yourself, and has that in some way, impacted you as a professional? Were you a different person as a professional before you became a mother? I'm sure you were, but what were those skills that you picked up even as you experienced, bringing 2 daughters up, and what has changed since?
When I had my daughters, I was still there in Air Force.
Okay.
I had them in December 2004, and I retired in 2006. So they were there. And I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what to do with them. Literally, the day I got 2 of them in my hands, and I didn't know what to do with them. I was there in a hospital. And I was like literally worried about my career. And then, emotions, they just don't, like, I think so. It is only in movies that the emotions, they come out as a mother. It is not like that. It's not like that. And, you're generally worried about your career and everything and about your medical, that whether you'll be able to become medically okay or not, for fit for flying or not.
Okay.
So, yeah. So then for next 2.5 to 3 years, I did not fly.
Oh, okay.
So, I left flying for 3 years, and thereafter, but yes, my family was very supportive. So they told me that whenever you want to join flying, you can tell us. And in case you really believe in us, then you can leave your your daughters, and thereafter we can help you out. So fine, after around 2 years or so, I started missing flying, and they were like quite a nuisance in my life, my daughters. I didn't know how to handle them still. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll do my license, and thereafter I'll see that whether I want to continue flying or not. So I still remember one fine day I came back from my classes after taking the classes for my license, and next day was my exam for my license, and I wanted to get the book. I wanted to study, and I realized my daughter has that first of all, that book was misplaced because that book was not there. They had torn the pages. There's nothing written on it. They put the pen all around, and there was nothing. And I asked my mother, like I had tears in my, eyes. I said, Mom, I have my exam tomorrow, and you told me that you're going to help me out, and this is how you're going to help me out. So she said, they are kids, you have to get used to them, and you can't come and tell us all this. So you have studied all this while, and go and give your exam. So fine, I gave my exam, I cleared and everything. But yes, it was because of my parents initially. And thereafter, my elder sister. My elder sister, she is a professor in a college. She and her husband really helped me out. And now the daughters stayed with them, and they are basically educationists and a very disciplined family, I must say. I'm not so disciplined the way they are. So yes, for a few months, I was like little hesitant. But thereafter, I realized that they are keeping my daughters in much better manner than what I could do. So I left them on them, and I continued my flying. And once in a while, I used to go back and look up to them. And now they have cleared their 12th standard. So I'm perfectly okay. And it is like, thank you very much. Thanks to my sister and to her husband now, they really took care.
So, but then I'm guessing that maybe you became a little more patient after the book tearing instance.
Yes, I became absolutely patient because now when I see, like when I joined Air Force, I was 20-year-old. And I used to be highly impatient. I was very emotionally very weak. I used to start shouting. I used to fight a lot, and very less of patience, And instructors used to like almost beat us in the cockpit. It is about life and death. It is not about anything like you can do that tomorrow and write 100 times and you'll do it better tomorrow. It is not that way. You have to learn. And maybe 13th or 14th sortie that time was a solo check. And in fact, the solo, you have to go all alone. So the instructors were worried whether they are going to get back the aircraft, whether they are going to come back alive, and in case they are not going to do something in the aircraft, or maybe so because the Air Force, reputation is at stake, that they had sent a pilot and now the pilot is creating a chaos there in the airspace. Absolutely. So all these things really matter, and all these things plays in your mind also. Absolutely. So, but yes, after I had my daughters, I realized that now I don't shout. I keep laughing. And whenever the junior is doing something, so I laugh and I try to explain it to him or her in a better manner. But yes, once in a while step, I give them back. And that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's totally allowed. Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to some of the things that you both spoke about, all these skills that we talk about, enhancing your career. I mean, all the transferable skills that we're talking about are towards enhancing your career, enhancing your own personal growth, professionally, personally, whichever way. But then ultimately also probably a lot of us dream about leadership. We talk about, creating that leadership pipeline. So what typically, so when we start off with grades and marks and all that is also, I mean, when we look at interviewing people, candidates, we look at those soft skills, those, like you rightly said, attitudes, becoming a very important part of that when you pick up a candidate or you choose a candidate over another. But then what are those absolute must-have skills that you probably don't begin with, but you over a period of time pick it up so that you really can even think about becoming a leader? Could you mention maybe 3 each, or 2 or 3 each? Yeah, that would help. I'm sure our audience are looking forward to that.
So I'd like to take the lead, and it is in the cockpit. I can talk about the cockpit. Cockpit also, there is a gradient of senior and junior. So the leadership quality has to be there. complete patience, and listening to the other person is also required. So for that, it is the cockpit resource management or the crew resource management. It is about one person, one pilot listening to the other pilot, as well as to the air hostess, as well as to the engineers. So it is like complete coordination has to be there. So leadership quality, complete coordination, and thereafter getting them along with you. You have to be patient. You have to be really very patient. If the person, like, I'll just give you a very short example, small example.
Go ahead.
There was a girl with me, and it was her first flight. It was her first flight, and I was flying over Andamans, and we had to go and pick up a dead body from Karnikobar and come back to Andaman, Port Blair. So once we landed over there, that girl told me, she was my co-pilot. She said, "Ma'am, I'm not very comfortable with taking the coffin in my this thing." I said, "We had only come this far to take the coffin. Now I cannot leave the coffin and go back. I will not go empty. So you don't have to actually look back." And maybe she said, "No, ma'am." And she had a vomited kind of a feeling. I couldn't have helped it. So I cannot have a disaster in my cockpit. So then I saw there was another helicopter landing of my company itself. So I said that, "Fine, I will take your passengers, and can you please take this coffin with you?" And that's how we interchanged, and I took the co-pilot back. And thereafter I told her that it is not like that after you reach over there, you tell me that you're not going to do that. And it is perfectly fine. It is understandable. But yes, you have to have patience. You can't have a person who is not very comfortable flying with you. So you have to understand that emotional EQ, emotional quotient also.
Yeah.
So because a 20-year-old, maybe she was not from a defense background, she has not seen deaths, she has not seen people who have got IDs in their stomach put in the hostile territories. So I shouldn't have expected anything like that. So fine. So it is about the patience and thinking and what to do next.
Absolutely.
So that your company also takes you.
I think I am sure you've had many instances where you had to think on your feet, and I think that's a big skill that especially on air that you might need. Any such quick instances that you could talk about? Any place where you had to think on
the thing is, like, once it was during my training stage. So during my training stage, I was flying with my instructor, and I was flying the helicopter. And that day we were flying the search and rescue helicopter. So even the search and rescue helicopter was airborne, and we were flying in that. He was training me. So we got a radio telephonic call, and we heard that some fighter pilot has ejected, and he was a trainee pilot. So he has ejected at such and such place. So we got the latitudes and longitudes, and my instructor said that, "Okay, fine. Since we are flying the search and rescue helicopter, we should go and evacuate that pilot. In case that pilot is safe, we can get him back." Yeah, I didn't know the head and tail of it, but yes, I had to follow instructions, and I was there in the cockpit. So we went over there, and I saw the aircraft was in flames. The body was in flames. And my pilot, that instructor told me that, "Okay, do one thing, get the blanket which is there in our aircraft." So I got the blanket, and he said, "Okay," the villagers had also come, and he said, "Okay, throw some water on the body." He was not alive. So said that throw the water in the body, and we'll take the body along. I was looking at the body, and I had frozen. And my instructor was telling me that, "Okay, lift him up, put the blanket from behind, and you lift him up," and all that. I had no courage to do that. But then he forcefully told me that, "Savita, we are there in the SAR helicopter. You can't be freezing over here, You have to, we do not want these kind of emotions. We don't want to see any emotions, in fact. So you have to have." Fine, we somehow managed to take that body back, and that was my first experience. It was like, it was not a very great experience, but yes, that day I learned that it is the way I'm going to continue like this, and this is my part of my training, and this is going to happen if I have chosen this as a career.
Absolutely.
Not many times. There was a time when I had a delivery in my helicopter. So the lady, I got that lady from somewhere, picked up, and she was in labor pains, and we were trying to hurry it up. And I gave a call also that we are having a medical emergency. But the moment we were landing, she had delivered by then.
Wow.
So I,
Wow. Oh my
what to
God.
do?
Completely very, very different
Yeah, it was
experiences,
very
but
different
it
experience.
really, life at its best, and
You know what
its
we keep
most.
saying? I had done a management course from IIM Ahmedabad. There
Hmm.
was a marketing instructor there giving a speech, and so there was some army personnel, and he rose and he said, army people are best in marketing. They sell death to people. And that's when I realized he's so true. The statement is 100% true that we sell deaths to people, and people are like on the borders. What are they doing?
Those are some very profound questions, which I mean, I'm sure that everybody feels the same way. So moving on to Praful, any points there, Praful, some of those skills that you think a leader should, possess, those transferable skills that leader should possess.
Listening, very, very, very important. Like Savita was saying, yes, in corporate spaces, I come from an agency consultancy background. I'm not core corporate. I have worked in media largely. Like my closest corporate space would be Times of India that I was in about 20 years back. But um, so we've always been support functions, right? And taking more load than the corporate itself, because when does a person outsource? They outsource when it's critical, when it is more than their capacity, and the bandwidth needed or expertise and smartness needed to handle it has to be more, right?
Yes.
And for years, while providing it on ground, we were only very quick on our feet, very responsive, and very, yes, what do you need? So let's be ready, let's be ready, let's be ready. Let's be ready. That drive and that, assertion, aggression, that whole spirit is one. Yet, what I figured much later in my career, after a decade or so, was how you process what you are hearing. Are you listening actively? Are you processing it and making those small bullet pointers even in your head? Or are you just delegating off the fly? Or are you just giving it those 10-second pauses and putting it in the correct, spaces and with people? Just match the following that we do in our head, because we do mapping. All of us do mapping. That's how decision making is done. That's how sense making is done, right? So Savita would do 100x of that with training and with everything, because so many lives and so many deaths are there at stake. For us, if I'm doing a 50,000 people show, which we have done, concerts and things, there a 3 second to 5 second sound drop or a light drop or just an equipment not being stable enough, that can lead to stampedes, and that can lead to a lot of different kind of situations, right? And we're talking critical, mission critical, medical things, legal things. There are people who are VVIPs there, like when we did a 10,000 people newspaper launch. And this is within a capacity where governors are sitting, top movie stars are sitting. Your front row has people doing in that year at least 3,000 crore of business and more, stuff that is happening on political and policy making side, right? That's the first 10 seats. And you have something very dangerous like a aeroplane engine hanging right on top, which is suspended in a certain manner because it was a show, trade expo for an engine manufacturer. They had a ship engine, they had a plane engine, they had those heavy equipments at display. And these people are sitting right there, but it is our responsibility to have it safe. And for that, for every moment, how to monitor, how to have the show running, how to have the artist security, how to have that line of communication checked, and to have moment to moment clarity of in whose vision and whose vantage point something like that is there, is also something that comes in civil life at times. And because she brought it up, this came
I
to
can
my
imagine
that we've done it like for one employee engagement event, 25th year anniversary, and MD send off of a bank, a large national bank. 70 people on console right in front of us in a stadium. and there are glitches happening and walkies are not working, they know who to look back to. Because I was on stage, right? They write straight away, they look at me because they know in 8-10 meetings I've been listening and I have been delegating. So delegation in the whole team of 70 has been done by me. So they will look at me saying that he'll be able to take the control back, he'll be able to delegate, he'll be able to bring the thing back in control in 10 seconds, 15 seconds of lapse. And I had that definitely apart from the console with me happening. But that's how even a leader sees these things. They will turn only to a person who has that aggregate presence or that thing in that moment. And they would also notice along the way who's responding and who's doing what. And these are choices that you're making, and you don't even know when they come in handy. And till that moment of 5-second sound failure where he was doing this, and I'm like, it's on back again by the time that he finished gesturing. So, but he will still look back to me, and I didn't even know he knew of my existence at that point of time, right? And he knows, and he's looking at me. I'm like, yes, you've been a MD of a bank for 25 years for a reason.
I know.
So it is.
Absolutely. I think what comes through is also the fact that, you need to have trust that you build around you. And it is only by, owning things and, like you said, listening being one of the skills that you can build that trust and then be chosen as a leader, not necessarily in your position perhaps, but because you are the person that exudes that trust. You trust them and they eventually trust you. So I mean, wonderful examples. I would like to take one of these questions that has come up in the chat, Praful, to you. How to deal with self-proclaimed mentors? Funny that very recently, I was forced to take up a mentor from the same domain since I presumably needed an image makeover. From Suman Chanda. Would you like to take that question, Praful?
Suman, I'll take the liberty of also asking Savita to chip in here because I know as a gender, I have a certain privilege as a cis-presenting male. And the image makeovers and the things that I am judged with are very different from what a feminine presenting person is trust with. And it starts much different manner from home and a lot of other spaces as well. So I believe you'll gain if Savita also chips in, and now they are here available. So use it. My stance, something very basic is, everybody has something to teach. A 2-year-old has, a plant has, a building that is crumbling has, everything has. Whether they come with a label, they don't come with a label is secondary. They might be self-proclaimed in one domain. They might actually teach you something else in some other domain. People will teach you don'ts all the time. Maybe learn don'ts.
Oh, fantastic. So amazing. That is so true.
so learn don'ts from a person, but don't judge them. Like when you're going in there, I understand the whole second half of it, that how it is being thrusted upon you and how it is being handed over to you as a mentorship is a pain point. And it's clearly, it's clearly there in your phrasing that, I supposedly need an image makeover because you don't see anything wrong with it. You don't see anything that needs to be changed. And you don't see anything that is different. But perceptions are what makes image. Your truth is what is visible. There are two things running at the same time at any given time. I've worked in PR, events, advertising, and we know truth of the products, but image of the product is also something. And using both those elements are important. And you could maybe benefit from both. Your truth, presenting your authentic self when you can and let that shine through, and doing the image where a person will only listen to you because of an image. When I wear specs, some people listen in my classroom and my trainings much better. When I shave my beard off, some people find it great. Some people find it very weird. When I keep my hair long, then I'm received in a certain manner. And it's when my teeth are in a certain shape, it's different. Otherwise, it's different. So it's never ending, this whole perception game. But I guess Savita should also be able to tell you more handy tools here.
Thank you. Savita, over to you.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I was initially undergoing my training, so somebody commented upon me that, there's a scientist of NASA going to moon. So that's a kind of training happening for Savita. But
Okay.
one thing, that's okay. That's their judgment. That's the way they want to think. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to get worked up or think something like negative. It's okay. People have their own thinking, their own judgments. You don't have to judge them. You just keep continuing your own work. And in case you know that you are giving your best, you are trying really hard, then I don't think so anybody doing this kind of a mentoring and a self-proclaimed mentor, that's absolutely okay. Don't think too much. Just keep doing your work which you are supposed to be doing. Don't start judging them. In fact, learn from whatever it is. In fact, at least learn that thing, that you are not going to do the same thing to other person. Learn that thing. I think so it is okay. It's all part and parcel. Don't have to worry so much.
That was very, very, I think both of you had a very similar thing to tell Suman, and I think she, has taken it. The last question from Gokul, who talks, Savita, you might want to take this question. How did you face the Ragda during your training?
Yeah,
It still exists
it's
as a
okay.
tradition.
Yeah. Ragda is absolutely okay. It makes you more strong. It is not only like I'm telling you, in defense, pilot is not only a pilot. I will not only fly. In case I'm not taking that ragda in a positive manner. Ragda means you get up in the morning at around 3 o'clock and they don't allow you to sleep till 10. And during that time, you have to fly also, and you have to basically do cream roll after dinner. All these kind of things, you have to do the march pass. You have to wear very heavy shoes and do that kind of a parade and 10 times get ready in 2 minutes. It is fine. That makes you more strong, because it is not necessary, like it is flying. And it is regarding the helicopters. In case you land somewhere, in case you force land, or in case you crash land somewhere, then you are left alone in the jungle or maybe on the hills. Then that ragda which you had undergone gives you so much of confidence. It is, I do not know why it is taken in such a negative sense, but that ragda will really help you get that confidence that during that time I had not slept for 48 hours, but I still performed. So that is the thing which actually will help you and will get the kind of a confidence which you really require. And that's what is really required in flying. In civil, it is not that way. Pilots are really pampered, and straight away from the helicopter you go to 5-star hotel. That's okay. But it is not same in Air Force, because Air Force is defense services. With that, you become a pilot. It is that you are a pilot, but you're still in the defense forces. So you might be required to go to a hostile territory. You might be required to land over there. You might crash land over there, and you might get caught over there by maybe whatever their army. So you know how to survive. So ragda is for that. It's not for humiliating you or something like that. You can take it in a positive sense also.
Very, very well said, Savita.
Yeah.
It was so, just listening to you narrate it is giving me, goosebumps. It must be something. And I'm sure that, like, both of you have been talking about how to, look at things from a positive way and learn from everything that life has to give you. And it sort of circles back to my question of how you are probably left to chance when it comes to being exposed to certain skills or not. But I think I take your point there, Praful, that it is a choice that you make at every given time, and you could be maybe rejecting something instead of accepting it, and it is a lesson that will add to your skill set. Very, very important. And I think that is my biggest takeaway today. One last, since we have this question, any book recommendations which helped with having an open mind to situations? I think
Just life
Suman is in need.
experience.
Life experience. Okay, Praful, any book recommendations that will help Suman?
Read any and every book that attracts you. Please read each and every one of them. Read brochures, read magazines, read as much as you can.
Open up your mind to everything. Great, awesome. And thank you both of you, Praful and Savita. It has been a riveting conversation. It was a pleasure listening to both of you narrate your life stories, and nothing is beyond that life can teach you. So thank you so much. Thank you from Avatar and my Avatar, and personally from my behalf. Over to you, Lalita. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Praful. Thank you, Savita. It was a fantastic session. Thank you, Rashmi, for your wonderful moderation. And I'm sure our attendees have a clear idea of how to leverage the transferable skill sets and embark on a new journey in realizing their career and personal aspirations. And with this, we have come to an end for the 11th day of Diversity Mahotsav. Thank you for joining today. You have been a wonderful audience. We once again like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and St. Gobain India Private Limited. We have another exciting day planned for Monday, which is the 19th of December, 2022. Monday, we have a workshop on disability awareness orientation and introduction to Indian Sign Language by Mr. Shivajay Gopal, where he will be taking us through the common disability categories, the do's and don'ts when interacting with people with disabilities, and much more. I'm sure you don't want to miss this. Do join us on 19th of December, Monday, in between 4 to 5 p.m. Please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various career opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com as yet, do log on to myavatar.com and register now. Browse through to find jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of your interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. Our social media hashtags for Diversity Mahotsav are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav 2022 and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post in your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on social media handles with the hashtags. As we draw close to the day, I'm going to request you to take a couple of minutes and provide your feedback on today's session. Please bring up the feedback form. Here we have a range of questions for you, and your answers will help us understand your today's experience. The first question, how would you rate today's session on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? The second question, how would you rate our speakers on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? The third one, how would you rate our moderator on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? The fourth question, is there anything else you would wish to see the sessions covered in today's topic? Then comes the fifth. Would you like to suggest a topic that you wish to hear from us during Diversity Mahotsav? If yes, please give your suggestion in the text box. And then the sixth and the last question, what is your takeaway from today's session? While you fill your valuable feedback, let me reiterate about the next session of Diversity Mahotsav that is coming up on Monday, 19th December. and get ourselves introduced to the Indian Sign Language used for disability awareness. Do join us on Monday, 19th December between 4 to 5 p.m. Signing off today is Lalita. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.